Greetings, River Lady here, and I have a new video series that I'm putting together, and this one is called Astilbe Rescue. I was at Lowe's today getting retaining blocks because I am enlarging my garden, and I saw on their reduced rack for $1 this seemingly dead Astilbe. There's no tag on the pot. I don't have a clue what color it is. I don't have a clue what its name is. The young man at the cash register was so sweet. This was supposed to be $1, and he got the approval from the garden center supervisor, and they gave it to me for free. I don't know if it's still alive. It's kind of crispy. So I'm going to try to rescue it. I'm going to try to bring it back to life. I love Astilbe. If you've watched my other video on Astilbe, you know that I just think they are cool plants. So let's talk a little bit about Astilbe. Astilbe do best in early morning sun, a couple of hours of early morning sun, and then shade for the rest of the day. If you are in a cooler zone, you can put Astilbe in full sun. They do prefer partial shade. They will grow well in full shade. However, the amount of blossoms you get will differ depending on their conditions. The biggest thing about them is they are not drought tolerant. They need there to be rich, well-drained, humus soil and moist. They don't want their feet wet, but they need the soil to be moist. And this is as hard as a rock, this soil. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to save it. Let's see, what else can I tell you about Astilbe? They're just absolutely gorgeous. They have these feathery plumes for their flowers. Look at how beautiful that is. She's just absolutely stunning sitting here between my two hydrangea plants. This is Bridal Veil. I love this Astilbe. I love them all. The pinks, the whites, the reds, the burgundies. There are a ton of varieties. There are early blooming Astilbe, and then there are late blooming Astilbe. Some cultivars will bring you right into September. The foliage, which you can't see on this poor little guy, but you can see it here, looks like fern foliage, looks like the fronds of different types of ferns. So just really cool foliage. All right, so let's see. Astilbe are great for transplanting. If you are going to transplant them or divide them, you want to do that in the spring. And I'm competing with a blue jay here. So I am back with a fresh battery. And what was I saying? You can divide Astilbe. They don't mind being split in half. In fact, every 3 or so years you want to divide them, which helps to rejuvenate them. Best time to do that is spring. They don't suffer a lot of diseases, although they are susceptible to powdery mildew. And they do have a few pests that will bother them. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to water this baby. And I'm not going to feed it at all. I'm going to put it in the ground and keep my fingers crossed. Unless we get rain, I'll be watering it every 2 days. Astilbe are very, very sensitive to drought conditions. We're going to do one more blast, and now I'm going to prepare its hole. I do want to make sure the soil is nice and loose. Next, I'm going to remove the soil and just put it in my bucket so I can use it to backfill the hole. Now that I have my hole dug, I'm not going to add my compost until I know if I have the depth correct. You want the Astilbe to sit about 1 inch below the soil surface. So I may have dug the hole too deep. That is too deep, but I need to add compost. So we're going to put you there. And now we want to add some compost and work that into the soil. As with all my plants, unless I'm using my homemade compost, I'm using mushroom compost. And I'm just going to add 3 scoops to the hole. I've stepped away from the camera. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello, can you hear me? All right. So there's the compost, and I'm just going to work it in. I'm not packing down the soil. You want to keep it loose so the plant will be able to spread its roots. Before I place the plant in its hole, I'm going to add water to the hole. The Astilbe does not get fed at this point. The compost will give it the nutrients it needs. And then in spring, when it comes back, hopefully when it comes back, I'll feed it then. All right, so I'm just going to let that water drain, and then we're going to add this baby to its new home. Now he may settle a little, and if he does, then I'll adjust the soil. Okay, so let's just get that dirt backfilled. Top of the plant to be about an inch below the soil. What I do then is I just will create a little gully for what I think would have been its natural drip line, because we want those roots to spread out, and by watering the plant at its natural drip line, I'll encourage those roots to spread out. So now I'm just going to add just a little more water. That's it for a Astilbe rescue, or a Astilbe special victims unit, or a Astilbe rest in peace, depending on whether he comes back or not. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to see what happens. This is River Lady saying, happy gardening.